You are wondering about the exact scene to imagine. You are wondering if there is some perfect combination of images, some precise moment, some specific detail that will finally bring the text. And I want to tell you something plainly, something that may surprise you at first, but will liberate you entirely once you truly understand it. The scene itself is not the power. You are the power. The scene is only the means by which you persuade yourself of the truth that is already complete within your own consciousness. So when you ask what to imagine to make your specific person text you, you are really asking this. What must I assume to be true about myself, about them, about us, so that the natural, inevitable result is that they reach out to me? And that is the question we are going to answer fully today, using the exact principles Neville Goddard taught and lived by. Not theory, not hope. Truth. Welcome. If this is your first time here, I am glad you have found your way to these teachings. If you have been walking this path for some time, welcome back. Today we are exploring one of the most requested subjects, one that brings so many seekers to Neville's work in the first place. What do you imagine to make your specific person text you? What is the scene? What should you see? What should you feel? And most importantly, why does it work? We are going to construct that scene together, step by step, and we are going to dismantle the mistakes that have kept it from working for you until now. This is not about manipulation. This is not about tricks. This is about becoming the person to whom that text is natural, expected, and inevitable. And when you do, the text will come, not because you forced it, but because the world has no choice but to conform to what you have assumed to be true. Let us begin. The first thing we must understand, and it is the foundation upon which everything else rests, is this. Imagining is not wishing. It is not visualizing something you hope will happen someday, if you are lucky or if the universe decides to cooperate. Imagining, in the way Neville taught it, is the act of claiming a state as already true within your own consciousness. And consciousness, he told us again and again, is the only reality. Everything you see in the outer world, every circumstance, every conversation, every text message or lack thereof, is simply consciousness pushed out. It is your own being made visible. So when you ask what to imagine to make your specific person text you, you are really asking what state you must occupy so completely that the text becomes the natural reflection of that inner state. You are not trying to change them. You are not trying to manipulate events from the outside. You are changing self. And when self changes, the world must change with it. Now, let us talk about the scene itself. So many people who come to this work already know they are supposed to imagine something. They have heard about visualization. They have heard about acting as if. But they do not yet understand the precision required. They imagine vaguely. They imagine from a place of lack. And worst of all, they imagine the wrong scene entirely. Let me give you the most common mistake, and I want you to see if you recognize yourself in it. You sit down to imagine. You close your eyes and you picture your phone lighting up. You see their name on the screen. You see the message notification. You imagine reading the words, "Hey, I miss you," or "Can we talk?" And you feel a surge of excitement, maybe relief, maybe even desperation. You imagine this scene over and over, hoping it will come true. And nothing happens. Or if something does happen, it is brief, inconsistent, unsatisfying. Why? Because the scene you are imagining is not the fulfillment of your wish. It is the arrival of evidence. And when you imagine receiving evidence, you are actually affirming that you do not yet have what you want. You are imagining from the state of lack, not the state of fulfillment. Neville was brilliantly clear about this. He said that you do not imagine to get something. You imagine from the end. You imagine the state that would be yours if your desire were already completely fulfilled. And what state is that? It is not excitement. It is not relief. It is naturalness. It is calm. It is the feeling of having always had what you now have. So if you want your specific person to text you, the question is not, what does the text say? The question is, what does it feel like to be the person who is already in harmonious, loving, natural communication with them? What does it feel like to be the one they think of, the one they reach out to? Not because you begged or manipulated, but because in your reality, that is simply who you are to them. That is the state you must imagine from. That is the wish fulfilled. Let me take you deeper into this. Imagine for a moment that you and your specific person are already in the kind of relationship you truly desire. not the anxious, uncertain, on-again, off-again dynamic you may have experienced, not the chasing or waiting or wondering, but the fulfilled version. In that reality, do they text you? Of course they do. And when they do, how do you feel? You feel normal. You feel loved. You feel secure. You do not feel shock. You do not feel shock. You do not feel shock. You do not feel sock. You do not feel shock. You do not feel thank God finally. You feel of course. You feel there they are. That is the speed. That is the and that is what you must imagine until it becomes natural to you, until it becomes your automatic inner assumption, until you cannot imagine it any other way. Now let us construct the scene itself. Neville taught that the best scenes are short, simple, and repeatable. They should imply the fulfillment of your desire without focusing on the desire itself. So here is the scene I would suggest, and you can modify it to fit your own circumstances. But the principle must remain the same. Imagine that you are lying in bed at night, or sitting comfortably during the day, and you feel your phone buzz. You pick it up casually, not anxiously. You see their name. You smile, not with surprise, but with warmth. You might even feel a slight sense of, oh, there you are. You do not need to read the entire message. You do not need to script every word. In fact, it is better if you do not. What matters is the feeling the message gives you. It gives you the feeling of being loved. What matters is the feeling the message gives you, the feeling of being thought of, the feeling of mutual communication, of connection, of things being right between you. You might imagine yourself typing a brief reply, something affectionate and easy. You might imagine setting the phone down and feeling content, feeling satisfied, feeling like this is just how things are now. And then you loop that scene. You feel it over and over until you fall asleep in the feeling of it being done. That is the scene. Do you see the difference? You are not imagining the text to get relief from the pain of absence. You are imagining from the state in which their presence in your life is already a settled fact. The text is not the miracle. The text is the evidence of the miracle you have already claimed within. And here is what Neville would tell you, and I tell you now. The moment you succeed in fully occupying that state, the moment you fall asleep feeling it as true, the outer world has no choice but to conform. It must, because the outer world is not a separate, independent reality. It is your consciousness made visible. Change the inner, and the outer must follow, not because of magic, not because of energy or vibration or cosmic ordering, but because consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is its shadow. Now I want to address something that may be troubling you. You may be thinking, but I have imagined before. I have visualized. I have felt the feeling. And still they did not text. Why? And I will tell you why. You imagined, yes, but you did not persist. Or you imagined from the wish, not from the wish fulfilled. Or you imagined once, felt good for a moment, and then spent the rest of your day returning to the old state, the state of absence, of longing, of checking your phone with anxiety, of telling your friends they still have not reached out, of looking at their social media and feeling hurt. You cannot imagine one thing and live another. You cannot occupy two states at once. If you imagine for 5 minutes at night and then spend 16 waking hours in the state of lack, which state do you think will manifest? The one you occupy most consistently, the one that feels most natural to you, the one you return to without effort. This is why Neville spoke so often about persistence. He would say, if you were to be in Barbados tonight, would you still be seeing New York around you? No. You would see Barbados. You would hear the sounds of Barbados. You would feel the air of Barbados. And if someone tried to tell you that you were still in New York, you would think they were mad. That is the kind of conviction you must have about the state you are claiming. You must live from the end so completely that the present evidence, the fact that they have not yet texted, becomes irrelevant. It becomes like a shadow that has not yet texted, becomes irrelevant. It becomes like a shadow that has not yet caught up with the body that cast it. You are already in the state. The text is on its way. It must be, because you are no longer the person waiting for it. You are the person who already has it. Let us go deeper now into why the scene of please text me is the wrong scene, and I want you to feel the truth of this, not just intellectually, but in your gut. When you imagine a scene in which you are hoping they will text you, or begging them to text you, or even just waiting anxiously for them to text you, or even just waiting anxiously for them to text you. You are imagining yourself as the one who does not have. And that state, that feeling of not having, is what you are impressing upon your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind, which Neville often called the servant of consciousness, will faithfully reproduce that state in your outer world. It will give you more separation, more waiting, more silence, not because it is punishing you, but because it is fulfilling the order you have given it. You have said by your imagining, I do not have them, and so you do not. You have said, I am separate from them, and so you are. But now imagine the opposite. Imagine that you are constructing a scene in which you are already in loving communication with them. You are imagining the state in which there is no separation, no anxiety. You are imagining the state in which there is no separation, no anxiety, no lack. You are imagining the text not as a miracle you are hoping for, but as a normal part of your reality. And when you do that, when you truly do that and persist in it, you are impressing a completely different state upon your subconscious. You are saying, I have them. I am loved. We are together. And your subconscious, which does not argue, which does not question, which only creates, will bring that state into being. The text will come, but more importantly, the relationship will come. Because the text is never the end. It is only the beginning of the bridge of incidents that will lead you to the full manifestation of your desire. Neville told the story many times of a woman who wanted to marry a certain man. She did not imagine him proposing. She did not imagine him proposing. She did not imagine the wedding day itself. She imagined the end of the wedding day itself. She imagined herself in bed that night, wearing a wedding ring and feeling the ring on her finger, and feeling the ring on her finger, and feeling the ring on her finger. That was the state. That was the end. And from that state, everything else unfolded naturally. The proposal came. The wedding came. But it came because she had already claimed the state of being his wife. She did not imagine to get it. She imagined from having it. Do you see? That is the secret. That is the principle. And it applies just as fully to a text message as it does to a marriage. So let us refine the scene even further. When you imagine tonight, and I hope you will, here is what I want you to do. Do not imagine your phone lighting up with their name if that image fills you with longing or anxiety. Instead, imagine a scene that implies the text has already happened, and you are now in the natural flow of communication with them. You might imagine yourself laughing at something they said. You might imagine yourself laughing at something they said. You might imagine lying in bed and feeling their presence in your life as a constant, settled thing. You might imagine a friend asking how things are going with them, and you answering calmly, effortlessly, we are great. We talk all the time. It feels so natural now. Do you feel the difference in that scene? It does not ask for anything. It does not hope for anything. It simply is. And when you imagine from that isness, from that state of already being, you are doing what Neville called, assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And here is the part that will change everything for you if you let it. The feeling is the secret, not the image, not the scene itself. The feeling. Neville wrote an entire book with that title, and in it he said plainly, feelings are the one and only medium through which you impress your subconscious mind. You can see 1,000 pictures in your mind, but if they do not generate the feeling of the wish fulfilled, they will do nothing. They are empty. But if you can generate the feeling, even without a clear image, even without a perfect scene, you will manifest, because the feeling is the frequency, the state, the reality you are claiming. So when you imagine tonight, do not worry if the image is blurry. Do not worry if you cannot see every detail. Worry only about this. Do I feel loved? Do I feel secure? Do I feel secreted? Do I feel like this is already mine? If the answer is yes, you have succeeded. And you must persist in that success until the outer world catches up. Now I want to speak to something tender, something many of you are feeling but may not have named. You are afraid that if you imagine this, if you really claim this, and then they still do not text, it will mean the teachings do not work. Or worse, it will mean you are not good enough, not powerful enough, not worthy enough to make it work. And I want to tell you with all the certainty I have, that is a lie. The teachings always work. Consciousness is always creative. What you assume, you become. What you persist in feeling, you will see. If you have not seen it yet, it is only because you have not yet fully assumed it. You have imagined it as a distant possibility rather than a present fact. You have felt it for a moment and then returned to doubt. You have tried to change the outside while remaining the same on the inside. But the moment you change within, the moment you become the person to whom that text is natural and inevitable, it will come. Not because you earned it, but because it is the law. And here is the great freedom in his teaching. You are not trying to convince them to text you. You are not trying to permisolate their free will or override their choices. You are simply claiming a state in which they already want to text you, in which they already think of you fondly, in which the relationship between you is loving and mutual. And when you claim that state, they will act in harmony with it. Not because you force them, but because in your reality that is who they are. Neville said it so beautifully. The world is yourself pushed out. Everyone in your world is you. Your mother is you. Your boss is you. Your boss is you. Your boss is you. They are all playing the part you have assigned them in your own consciousness. So if they are distant, it is because you have assumed distance. If they are silent, it is because you have assumed silence. But if you assume love, assume connection, assume communication, they will reflect that back to you. They must, because they are not separate from you. They are an aspect of your own consciousness, pressed out into form. This is not solipsism. This is not saying other people do not exist, pressed out into form. This is not solipsism. It is saying that your experience of other people is always a reflection of your own state of consciousness. And when you change your state, your experience of them changes. Neville proved this again and again in his own life and in the lives of his students. He told of a woman who was estranged from her daughter for years. She imagined a scene in which her daughter called her, and she heard her daughter say, "I love you, Mum." She imagined that scene every night with feeling, and within weeks the daughter called. The reconciliation was complete, not because the daughter suddenly changed on her own, but because the mother changed her consciousness, and the daughter, being part of the mother's world, had no choice but to conform to the new assumption. You can do the same. You can imagine your specific person texting you, calling you, reaching out to you, not because you are bending their will, but because you are claiming a state in which that is already true. And as you persist in that claim, the outer world will rearrange itself to match. It always does. It has no other choice. This is law, not hope, not faith in the religious sense. Law, as certain as gravity, as reliable as mathematics. Assume it, persist in it, and you will see it. I tell you, try it. Dare to assume it tonight, and watch what happens. Let us now talk about assumption more carefully, because this is where most seekers stumble. They imagine a scene once or twice, and then wait for results, all the while still assuming the old state. They imagine the text, but they do not assume they are loved. They imagine the reconciliation, but they do not assume they are wanted. And assumption, Neville said, is the most important word in his entire teaching. To assume means to take for granted. It means to live as though something is already true, even in the absence of evidence. It means to think from the end, not toward it. And this is what you must do if you want the text to come, if you want the relationship to blossom. You must assume you are loved. You must assume you are desired. You must assume communication between you is natural, frequent, and full of warmth. And you must persist in that assumption, not for a day or a week, but until it hardens into fact. Neville often used the phrase, walk by faith, not by sight. And he did not mean religious faith. Neville often used the phrase, walk by faith, not by sight. And he did not mean religious faith. He meant faith in your own consciousness, faith in the reality of the unseen state you have claimed. You are walking by faith when you continue to assume you are loved, even though they have not texted. You are walking by faith when you think of them with warmth and certainty, even though the outer world still shows separation. You are walking by faith when you refuse to let the present evidence dictate your inner state. And that faith, that persistence in assumption, is what collapses time and brings the manifestation. Not struggle, not effort, but inner conviction. The kind of conviction that does not waver, does not question, does not need proof. It simply knows. Now let me give you the scene again, but this time we are going to build it with the full understanding of assumption behind it. Tonight, as you lie down to sleep, you are going to imagine a scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. You might imagine lying in bed and glancing at your phone. You see a message from them. You do not read the words. You do not focus on the details. You simply feel the warmth that comes from knowing they reached out to you. You feel the ease. You feel the normalcy. You feel the normalcy. You feel, this is how it is now. And as you loop that scene, as you repeat it softly and gently, you let yourself sink into the feeling it gives you. The feeling of being yoked. The feeling of being in communication. The feeling of everything being okay between you. And you fall asleep in that feeling. You do not fall asleep hoping it will happen. You fall asleep knowing it already has, in the only place that matters, which is within your own consciousness. And because it has happened there, it must happen here. That is the law. Some of you are going to ask, but what if I do this, and they still do not text right away? What if days go by, or weeks, and I still see no movement? And here is what I will tell you. First, do not look for it. The moment you start checking your phone anxiously, the moment you start scanning for evidence, you have fallen out of the state. You have returned to lack. You have said by your actions, I do not really believe it. So instead, after you have done your imagining, after you have felt the feeling and fallen asleep in it, you must go about your day as though it is already done. You must live from the end. And that means you do not check your phone every 5 minutes. You do not stalk their social media. You do not ask your friends if they have heard anything. You rest. You trust. You trust. You know. And in that knowing, you are free. Second, understand that there is often a gap between the inner assumption and the outer manifestation. Neville called this the interval. He said that the moment you successfully impress your subconscious mind, the thing is done. It is finished. But it may take time for the outer world to catch up, for the bridge of incidents to unfold, for the physical reflection to appear. That does not mean it is not working. It means it is working invisibly. And your job during the interval is not to worry or doubt. Your job is to remain faithful to the state you have assumed, to continue feeling loved, to continue assuming communication, to continue living from the end, no matter what the present circumstances seem to show, because the present circumstances are only the shadow of your past assumptions. They are not the truth. The truth is what you are assuming now, and if you persist in assuming it, the shadow will change. Neville told a story that I love, and it fits perfectly here. He spoke of a man who wanted a particular job. He was told the position was filled. He was told there was no chance. But instead of accepting that, he went home and imagined himself in that job. He imagined his friends congratulating him. He imagined himself at the desk doing the work. He felt it as real, and he persisted. Days went by. Nothing changed outwardly, but he did not waver. He continued to live in the state of already having the job. And then suddenly the person who had been given the job left. A spot opened. He was called in, and he got the position not because he forced it, not because he manipulated anyone, but because he had assumed it, and the world rearranged itself to match his assumption. The same will happen for you with your specific person. Persist in the assumption that they are reaching out to you, that communication is natural, that love is the reality between you, and the outer world will conform. It must. That is law. Now I want to speak to the deeper layer of this, the layer that many people miss. You are not really trying to get a text. You are trying to feel love. You are trying to feel wanted. You are trying to feel secure. And you have mistakenly believed that the text will give you that feeling. But Neville taught the exact opposite. You must give yourself the feeling first, and then the text will come. You must feel loved now, without evidence. You must feel wanted now, without proof. You must feel secure now, even in the silence. And when you do, when you successfully generate that feeling within yourself through imagination, the outer world will have no choice but to bring you the physical equivalent. The text will come, the call will come, the reconciliation will come, because you are no longer seeking it. You already have it, and what you have within, you must experience without. This is what Neville meant when he said, you are already that which you seek. You are not trying to become love. You are already love itself. You are not trying to attract your specific person. You are the one in whom all things exist. Your consciousness contains them. Your imagination creates them. And when you realize that, when you step into that power, everything changes. You stop begging. You stop chasing. You stop waiting. You simply assume the state you desire, and you let the world catch up. And it will, every time, without fail. Let me now walk you through the practice, step by step, as though you and I are sitting together and I am guiding you into the state. This is what you will do tonight, or right now if you prefer. Find a comfortable place where you will not be disturbed. Sit or lie down. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Let your body relax. Let the outer world fade. Now, gently bring to mind a short, simple scene that implies you and your specific person are in loving, natural communication. You might imagine your phone in your hand. You might imagine seeing their name on the screen. You might imagine the feeling of warmth that comes when you see they have reached out. Do not worry about the exact words. Do not script the message. Just feel the feeling. Feel the naturalness of it. Feel the naturalness of it. Feel the ease. Feel that this is just how things are now between you. Now loop that scene. Play it again and again, not with effort, not with strain, but gently, like a lie-back. Each time you repeat it, let the feeling deepen. Let it become more real. Let it soak into you. And as you do this, remind yourself, this is not something I am trying to make happen. This is something that already is. I am not imagining to get. I am imagining from having. I am already the one they text. I am imagining from having. I am already the one they text. I am already the one they think of. I am already loved. And as that conviction grows, as that feeling fills you, let your lips, or if you are doing this during the day, let yourself rest in that feeling for a few minutes, and then open your eyes and go about your day as though it is done. Do this every night. Do this with persistence. Do this until the feeling becomes natural to you, until you no longer need to imagine it because you simply assume it. And as you do not look for results. Do not check your phone with anxiety. Do not test the law. Simply live from the end. Live as though you are already in communication with them. Live as though you are already loved. And watch what happens. The text will come. The call will come. The relationship will unfold. Not because you forced it, but because you claimed it. Not because you begged, but because you begged. But because you assumed. And assumption, Neville taught, is the most powerful force in the universe. It creates worlds, and it will create your world too. Now let us zoom out and look at the larger picture, because this teaching is not just about a text message. It is not just about a specific person. It is about who you are. It is about the creative power you possess. It is about the truth that you are not a powerless being in a hostile world, hoping that others will give you what you need. You are consciousness itself. You are the operant power. You are the one in whom all things exist. And when you realize that, when you truly step into that identity, everything changes. You no longer beg. You no longer chase. You simply assume, and the world conforms. You simply feel, and the outer mirrors the inner. This is the promise. This is the truth. And it is available to you right now, not because you have earned it, but because it is what you are. Neville would often say, you are not a man seeking God. You are God seeking expression through man. And that is the truth. The power that creates worlds is within you. It is you. And that power responds to your assumptions, your feelings, your imaginal acts. It does not respond to your begging or your effort or your worthiness. It simply responds to what you assume to be true. So if you assume you are unloved, you will experience being unloved. If you assume you are unloved, you will experience being ignored. But if you assume you are ignored, you will experience being ignored. But if you assume you are cherished, adored. But if you assume you are terit, not someday, not if you are good enough. But now, as soon as you persist in the assumption long enough for it to harden into fact, this is the great reversal that Neville taught. The world does not create you. You create the world. Circumstances do not determine your state. Your state determines your circumstances. And your specific person is not withholding love from you. You are withholding the assumption of love from you. The moment you give yourself that assumption, the moment you feel loved within, they will act in a way that confirms it without. They will text. They will call. They will reach out. Because the world is yourself pushed out. And when you change, it changes. Always, without exception. So tonight, I want you to go into your imagination with this understanding. You are not trying to manipulate anyone. You are not trying to override free will. You are simply claiming a state that is already true in the infinite possibilities of consciousness. You are selecting the version of reality in which you and your specific person are together, in love, in communication, and you are making that version real by assuming it, by feeling it, by persisting in it. And as you do, the so-called physical world, which is only a shadow, will shift to reflect the light of your inner assumption. The text will come, but more than that, the love will come, the relationship will come, the fulfillment will come, because you have claimed it, because you have become it, and what you are, you must experience. Let me leave you with this. You clicked on this video because you wanted to know the exact scene to imagine, and I have given it to you. But the scene is not the power. You are the power. The scene is only the tool by which you convince yourself of what is already true. So do not worship the scene. Do not obsess over the details. Focus on the feeling. Focus on the state. Become the person to whom that text is natural. Become the person who is loved, who is desired, who is in harmonious communication with the one they adore. And when you do, when you persist in being that person, the text will come, not as a miracle, not as a surprise, but as the natural, inevitable reflection of who you have become. I tell you, the power is within you. The kingdom is within you. The love you seek is within you. Stop looking for it outside. Stop waiting for them to give it to you. Give it to yourself. Assume it. Feel it. Live from it. And watch as the entire world reshapes itself to match the glory of your inner conviction. This is the teaching. This is the law. And it is yours to use right now, tonight, as you fall asleep. So go now. Imagine. Feel. Persist. And know that it is done. Because in consciousness must become true in fact. That is the promise. That is the law. And I give it to you now, not as theory, but as truth. Use it, and you will see.